She is the acting CEO of the U.S. Agency for Global Media. But even I think more important than that, she's family. Kari Lake joins us now. Kari, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Jack. What a sweet thing to say. And I consider you family as well. We're really this kind of hurting family that's been through trauma, and it's the healing process now begins, but we also are in the process of trying to make our kids understand what's going on, why the world has become so violent. So as a parent, I know it's a long road ahead for a lot of us.
How have your kids been taking it?
You know, interesting. My son's about 21. He's turning 21 here in about a week. And my daughter's 22. So they are right there at the age of the young assassin. And we've talked a lot about it. You know, it's interesting because my daughter worked for Charlie. She worked at Turning Point. She still works there part-time. And so she's taken it really hard. She, of course, went to many of these college campus events. So it's very real to her. She could imagine what it was like to be there that day. She knows how much Charlie loved his family and cared about his personal security as well. So he didn't take that lightly. And she just can't grasp the fact that he's gone. But both of my kids said to me, Mom, we're not surprised that kids our age are, you know, demented like this because of what we've been through. You know, they were seeing, and I tried to send them to schools, Jack, where they didn't have a bunch of leftist teachers. But they still experience in their growing up at school a constant barrage of leftist ideology. And they experience it. My son's at college right now. He said the leftist professors and teachers are out of control. I asked him, well, surely, Leo, you have at least a couple of conservative professors, right? He said, no, zero. So this generation has been through hardcore brainwashing their whole life. And it's a miracle any of them could come out of that halfway normal. And if they have, you got to give a little bit of good parenting on one side of that.
No, and I agree with you. And of course, I know your daughter from Turning Point. I met your daughter through Charlie. I met you through Charlie and Turning Point. And she's always been so helpful with when I was doing events, and she'd be, working on logistics or whatever it was, and just so committed to the mission. And when you think about how this affects that generation, I've been thinking about my children as well. And, this is going to be something that it's a mass trauma. It's a mass trauma where it's different from, say, a military attack or something that just happens on the news, because it's personal. Right? It was so personal for so many kids in this generation. And I keep hearing kids down to, 10 years old. Someone told me the other day that they were a huge fan of Charlie. And my own kids, they're sort of too young to have been fans of Charlie, even though they knew him personally and had met him, but they just sort of know him as like Uncle Charlie and they don't quite understand the scope and the scale. And they were at the memorial, but they don't get it yet. I think one day they will. But the question is, Kari, do you think that for the ones that do, and you mentioned that they are seeing what it is, when it comes to the media, when it comes to the professors, do you think that they are really going to start turning against them? Because unfortunately, in the wake of this, what do we see from the media? More demonization of ICE agents, continued demonization of Charlie himself, even in death. And it just doesn't stop. And here's this guy who's beloved by this generation, this younger generation, and they won't stop attacking him.
Oh, and they're attacking Erica. I mean, when I heard that, I just...
And yes, of course.
It's just garbage. And
she was literally just tears.
I think our kids are really going to turn away from that and start speaking out. And for kids who didn't know who Charlie was, I mean, there were kids out there who didn't. Now they're seeing that he was a calm force. He had great ideas. He cared deeply. He was doing this for this young generation. He was putting himself out there for this young generation, for his future. And of course, he had the old folks like me. He had the middle-agers with him as well. I mean, I know a lot of people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s who love Turning Point. So it's a big loss, but I think Charlie's legacy is going to be that he brought a lot of people over to common sense conservative ideology, and more importantly, to Christ, to his Savior and our Savior. I am blown away by the number of young people now who are telling their parents they want to start going to church, picking up a Bible, doing Bible study. So the impact is absolutely massive. It's just going to take some time to get over the shock of it all. And you know, he was just a friend to all, a true connector. I met you. I could probably count right now about 50 people without even thinking of it, that because of Charlie, because of Turning Point, they are now in my lives. And I used to tell Charlie, you need to start a dating app or a dating, some sort of a dating department, because so many people through Turning Point.
I remember you saying that. I remember you saying that. I definitely remember you saying that. And yes, we have had marriages here. We've had couples that get together, and
right.
I think they did actually do some kind of it was like a Gen Z singles something. I forget exactly, one of the America Fests, and we'll have to bring that back, because
the marriages that have happened because of him, all the children that are
and the
out
children,
there. It's really
the children.
incredible.
Oh yeah.
So we're praying for Erica and the children, and we know that God said to Charlie, you know, I've got a bigger mission for you, but this one's going to require a big sacrifice. But I need to start bringing people over to me, to God. And are you up for the mission? And I think that Charlie said, yes, Lord. So, you know, as difficult as it is not to have him here, he's one heck of a guardian angel. I will tell one quick story. I was looking back at text messages, because I too got those like Bible verses from Charlie, which always came like when I needed him most, to be honest. And I looked back at some of the things he had sent me about my daughter, because she worked there, and really kind words about her work ethic and what she meant to Turning Point. And I shared those with her, and it meant the world to her. He just was a very thoughtful person. And so when I hear people saying, oh, you got to tone down the rhetoric, you've got to don't be so hateful, oh, he was divisive. He actually wasn't. He did tone down the rhetoric. He did listen to people who had vastly different ideologies and ideas, and people who you would normally just walk away from, they sound so crazy. He would sit and respectfully listen and have a debate with them. And many times you'd see the light bulb go off. I just think that our side doesn't need to turn down the rhetoric. I don't believe that we are inciting people to violence. And at the time for talk, frankly, it's now time for action, frankly. I want to see President Trump dismantle these political agitators who are, frankly, some of them part of the Antifa terror group, and dismantle this this killing group to make this kind of political violence come to an end.
Oh, Kari, it's really as simple as that. And like I started off the show saying it, this isn't going to stop until it's stopped. It's like when you're dealing with unruly children. At some point, you got to put them on timeout. You got to put the foot down. You can't ask them. They're beyond that point. So you have to act. You simply have to act. Kari Lake, where can people go to follow you? And thank you again for just being here and for your kind words about Charlie.
Well, I wish I miss my beautiful state of Arizona. I'm here in the swamp working with President Trump, and we're working really hard to put the American taxpayer first and make sure their tax dollars are not being misspent, which, believe me, they are right now. But President Trump's working really hard, and I'm working hard as well to be mindful of the American taxpayer. You can find me on Twitter. I guess it's called X now, at Kari Lake, Karilake. I'm also on Facebook and Getter and, all of the Instagram and all of that at Kari Lake.